Hello friends, how are you doing? Cheers to life. Okay, so today we're going to be chatting with Tove. I need to go live with Tove. We all need a bit of well-being whilst we're going through the menopause, don't we? Hopefully Tove will be coming on. There we go. Hey.
Hi Sarah, how are you?
See ya. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? What? Oh.
Cheers.
Smiley faces are everywhere.
Love it. Love it.
I found my banana upstairs. Well, I'm
Wondrous.
wondering whether this relates to life, right? So wait for this, okay? So we have this kind of banana, and then we have kind of the not so great banana.
Bruised over time.
If anybody would like, if anybody would like a very bruised banana to relate to their life, it may be very squashed in the post, but I could easily send it to you.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, dear.
How was your day?
My day was very, very busy. Do you know the challenges of having a workman whilst you're trying to work?
Yes.
That was one of these days. Lovely, lovely workman, but yeah, he was there here all day doing some sealant. So now the bathrooms look really, really new, and they're not, which is lovely. So I've got a bath full of very cold water. If anybody wants a cold water dip, come to my house. I have no heating on, and there's an ice bath inside.
We're doing cold water exposure at Sarah's. Laughter yogis know how to respond with resilience and laughter.
Do you know what? Before I actually throw it out, I might just have a go. What do you think?
I like it. Give it a twirl.
Well,
I
I'll
think
try and raise some money for a mental health charity.
Thank you for jumping on. So we just want to welcome you all and say thank you
you.
so much for joining us on the live tonight. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, if you're watching this back on any of the recordings, Sarah is so good. She posts it everywhere so that we can rewatch and experience these again. So this is part 3 of a multi-part series where Sarah and I are getting to talk about laughter yoga and how there are so many different applications. So far in the series, we've spoken about laughter yoga to benefit children. The next program that we did was all about laughter yoga helping with stress relief for teachers. And tonight we bring you menopause.
Big M, the big M.
The mighty M.
The almighty M. And it lasts for years, doesn't it? Years and years and years. I remember I'm 56 now, so I am very thankfully over it. But it must have been 10 years.
Yeah.
Because you go through the perimenopause, that takes a few years.
Yeah.
Then you're like in the mid stage where sometimes you're bleeding, sometimes you're not, and the hormones are going haywire, right? And then you come out the other side and you think, ooh, what do I do now? Kind of thing. You kind of reassess your life sometimes. So yeah, very, very interesting. And we all have different experiences, don't we, Tove, of it? I mean, some people fly through it and like click and it's gone, and other people really, really struggle.
I think what's interesting is that, you know, there's been obviously there's never enough information about a subject like this. 80% of women say they felt underprepared for menopause, and of course there is this kind of taboo stigma, this discomfort. In fact, there's a lot of discomfort around women's health issues of all descriptions. So that is the that is a reality that women face. But as you say, Sarah, sometimes certain symptoms just seem to impact more than others. And, you know, we've heard about just, you know, if we just go over some of them, we know about the hot flashes, bladder control issues, sleep, irritability, mood changes. Your body just feels different. Your body feels different. And one of the chief things that I've heard from clients of mine is that they don't recognize themselves anymore. They don't recognize who they were. They've lost a part of themselves. And the thing is, you know, in the perimenopause phase, which is leading up to the menopause proper, if the symptoms aren't visible, the changes are nonetheless underway. And so we know that the brain itself, they've done MRI scans to show that the brain itself looks visibly different for a woman before and after menopause. So this very ethereal thing, which actually has a very tangible experience for, as you say, for some people, we need to talk about it more. And I think discussions like this are so important. It's not just about the fact that, hey, there's this thing, it means you're aging. It's much more than that. You know, our hormones dictate everything about us.
Yep, they do.
And not just about hormones in terms of mood, it's about body functions and about the brain's physical functioning capacity. So when there are these dips in hormones, you know, I remember the first time I didn't realize, and maybe this was the naive nature of women being uninformed, I didn't realize, you know, that women have testosterone. I always thought that was what men had, and that's what, you know, drove them to, you know, push on and do their manly things. But without testosterone, we begin to experience situations in ourselves, Sarah.
Yes, no, I did know that. I should say something actually, that my connection, Jo Taylor, is part of the serious wellbeing team that I run, and she's a menopause expert. So please follow her, Tove, and everybody, because she will she'll be, I'm sure she shares on social media as well.
Wonderful.
But yeah, she's a menopause expert, so she goes into companies to educate not only women but of course men as well about these issues that come up.
Yeah.
But we're looking from the laughter side of things, right? And how we can help people who are struggling through the perimenopause and the menopause with laughter. So what is your opinion on that, Tove?
Well, the good thing is what I've done a little PDF which I'll be able to send to people if they ask for it. It's laughter exercises related to, I call it the top 40. So there are loads of symptoms actually related to menopause, but the top 40 are a range of exercises. And what I've done is I've taken a specific experience as a result of menopause and paired it with the science behind what's happening in the body and in the brain, and then given you a laughter yoga exercise related to it. So, so it's not just about laughter and giggles and things. It's actually, there's a lot of science involved in the menopause and how we can help ourselves. First thing I just wanted, before I go into some of those exercises, which I think we could do, we'll show a few of them, is I just wanted to give some practical tips for some of the to manage some triggers. I wonder if anybody would, you can send us a heart. Yes, Joe's asking there for a copy. Yes, with pleasure. So I would say tip number one is keep a symptom diary. You know, a lot of, I don't know if you noticed this, but I'll often say to somebody, I've had absolutely nothing to eat today. And then I think, well, there were those nuts that I had and I managed to have, and you discover you actually had quite a bit. So I'm just saying there's this mindfulness part, the component of, I'm mad about journaling. I think it reveals so much to us. So keep a symptom diary. So that's tracking your activities, your meals, your symptoms, and let's start to see if we can identify some patterns there and triggers. And then we look at tip number 2 is a gradual reduction. If in your diary you've noticed there are some triggers, let's start to gradually then eliminate some of the things. For example, caffeine, alcohol. These are challenging for menopause because they stimulate. And we know that we've got this situation where there are the 2 other hormones that we deal with are cortisol and adrenaline. And you know, the old traditional me that would roll out of bed and pour herself into a coffee, that's just double triggering the body that is going, could I rather have some lemon so I can get some alkalinity going because I'm too acidic? And we know that acidity in the body leads to inflammation, and a lot of women have fibromyalgia. So as much as we can get away from acid-based living in terms of stress and food, the better. My next point is to stay hydrated, and I'm a fan of Celtic salt as well. Not just drinking water, but having the Celtic salt so that the body can bond with those molecules and actually make sure that the hydration is benefiting us. Because sometimes we drink water and it's not actually being absorbed in the body. I think there's every merit in having seeking professional guidance, because we need the advice of people who know what's going on better than we could, you know, click and find and Google. But I do think that there's a wisdom in mindful eating and also creating a supportive environment. Women are better when we work with each other and help each other. And we notice as we open the doors to communication and conversation, we really make a safe space for each other. And there's so much wisdom, you know, that we could learn from each other. That, as well as prioritizing sleep. Many women have insomnia anyway because of so much stress. But for menopause, insomnia is one of the chief symptoms. We need to make sleep. You know, we could do a whole session on sleep. Yeah. But really prioritizing sleep, making your room a sanctuary, all of these things really good. And regular exercise. Exercise helps manage our hormone levels, and it helps us with our mood. And then we have these laughter yoga techniques, which I'm really keen to share, because I think, you know, there is every merit in them. So yeah, I'll go through those. But I wanted to just hand back to you while I draw those up, about your response to how you're finding that list of ideas.
I'd love that list of ideas. Yeah. It is very interesting about inflammation in the body, because I have noticed that if I'm having a real sugary day, then yes, definitely things flare up more. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that. Do you find like within a few hours things start happening and you get aches, or maybe even you get a headache or whatever if you have like a big sugar thing, and sometimes you have a sugar coma even. So you feel really, really sleepy because your body's trying to digest that and process it. The thing with water is actually I've started having a rehydration tablet in the morning.
Yeah.
Because you lose so much water during your sleep that you do have to have quite a significant amount first thing in the morning. Now, Dr. Kataria, the founder of Laughter Yoga, did say about trying lime instead of lemon. Do you remember that, Tove?
Yeah.
I've never tried that yet. My limes always go dry before I remember to use them. Brain fog. But yes, I'm having a rehydration tablet, and I find that really helps.
Yeah.
But also, I always have 2 cups of hot water first thing in the morning to start the digestive system. Whether it's on its own or with lemon or whatever, warm water is easier to absorb than cold.
Yeah.
So, and little sips rather than big amounts of water. as well. So little and often helps to absorb it better, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So that's
it's
just my
really.
thoughts on the water intake. I've never been a coffee drinker, so I'm thankful for that.
That makes a
But, you know,
difference. If you can
yeah.
uh, not have that issue, it's really good to just have. I'm a fan of mindful eating. You know, we have 9 appetites. And that's another subject again. I feel like laughter yoga brings us so many open doors, doesn't it? But when we bring our mindful awareness to things, we eat with our eyes, we eat with our thoughts, we eat with our stomach, we eat with our mouths, we eat with our ears, the sound of food. I'm seeing there Lisa saying, yes, sugar, feeling vague, crappy, and a bad moody. So true, isn't it? I mean, this is the reality, is that we know those things are not good for us. And yet we can't help but, you know, succumb to those things because it's just so familiar and so easy. And we know that laughter yoga perhaps isn't so familiar and so easy for people. So if you are just drifting past this live, if we could just explain about laughter yoga being an intentional laughter, where you're using the body's ability to laugh without having to rely on a joke. We were just talking moments ago about stimulants. Well, even with laughter, we choose with laughter yoga as a practice not to even have a stimulus of a joke or comedy to help us get to the laughter, to be able to breathe. So I don't want to be reading my laughter exercises list on this live because we are short for time, but I will send that to Sarah, who can send it on to everybody.
Yeah,
but I think
if you just put comment menopause or something
yes,
on
we'll
this
do that.
live, then we'll check back and
Yes.
message you. Okay.
I think most importantly, we just want to open the conversation to say we see, feel, recognize, hold the space for women experiencing this. And you know, it's so important as it connects to our confidence, because prior to menopause, you may have, oh, Lisa says I meant crabby. Crappy is also good, Lisa. But confidence, women experience a marked dip in confidence. And this affects us, our performance at work. It affects our relationships. And related to menopause, there is a way to restore the confidence through laughter yoga, because it enables us to connect to ourselves again, so that we're not relying on others or anything exterior to us to help us activate our self-worth and our feelings of self-confidence. We can't be confident without having a sense of our value. And, you know, for a lot of people, if you equate your net worth to your self-worth, and if you're not earning, that's a big, there's a gap there, isn't it? So we want to be able to connect women to the confidence that is related to laughter, as it is accessible through the breath. As we breathe in, hold it, and then laugh it out.
But we know that is very hard for some people when they're not used to it. So that's why we have some other laughter exercises. That the breathing in and laughing out is easy for us because we know how to do it. So having some different exercises. Do you want to give us one of those, Tove?
Yes, I think one of the, literally I call it the fan. Yeah. So when I can even see my face is getting red, you know, I still have these experiences when I'll just give you just a very short little story. I don't know if I've told you this. Laura, who is the laughter yoga master in Italy, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And after I had spoken at the Laughter Yoga International Conference, I was on stage, and I came off, and my hair was literally plastered to my face. I did not look healthy. And she was so sweet. The first thing she did was just present very delicately a tissue so that I could start to dab. So I wasn't glowing. I was literally schwetzering. It was just pouring off me. It was like a waterfall. It wasn't a hot flash. It was a storm. What was so sweet was in that connection, she actually was wearing a bracelet, and she took it off and like folded it off her arm and folded it onto mine. And I just thought, you know, this gift is so beautiful, but all I wanted to do was cool my face. So let's do this. I call it the fan. So breathe in, feel the hot flush as your face is reddening, and just cool it down and laugh.
That is really nice.
You actually feel it. And we know that laugh, you know, here's the thing, menopause is generally not a laughing matter. So it's very unusual to offer laughter as a solution to something that is painful emotionally, it's painful physically, it's painful psychologically. And there's a lot of pain connected to it, not the least of which, for some women, is the letting go of the ability to birth. And I always remind my clients that it might be the physical reality, but with wisdom and as a result of this process, you have the ability to birth your new creativity. And that is something only time and this phase will give you. So all is not lost. There's a whole new world waiting for you. And it's through that journey, Sarah.
Yeah, I know. I used to really struggle with mood swings, and it went, you know, downhill, spiraled, and then I was on antidepressants, you know, and that was possibly, you know, to do with the menopause, because it was at that age, you know.
Well, you see,
46.
It's the sense, doesn't it? Antidepressants, generally speaking, are so rushed at people as the solution. And we just need to remember that our whole expression, you know, healing is something that the body does, not chemicals that bring healing.
Can we ask a question to our viewers? If you want to put yes, if you're on antidepressants or have ever been on them, and then we kind of know how many people, because we're an open book, right? You know, we're not going to kind of point fingers or anything, because, you know, we're a community, but we're kind of would like to be supportive of you, and you know, it's so common, so common. Excuse my little so yeah, so if you want to be open and put yes if you have been on antidepressants or still are, it should be really interesting, because
well, I'll vote. I was. That's 2 in your series. Yeah.
And that's okay. The symptoms that I got from being on antidepressants were brain fog. I could not remember a thing. Now, it could have been the menopause, or it could have been because of, you know, the medication. Who knows? But yeah, but the symptoms that sometimes you put on weight. Do you have any symptoms?
Yeah, I'm here that Jojo's saying because of severe PSD, put on 3 different types. You know, yes, I did. I put on weight, and I actually had actually other issues, physical issues, that affected other parts of the body, liver, kidneys. These are not good things to see that, you know, all it takes is just opening that box and reading what are those contraindications. And when you see that a medication that's so, you know, like readily thrown at somebody for one thing, actually has so many contraindications. It does make you hesitate for a second, because how on earth is that going to help me in the long run? In the long run. So it is definitely something to be aware of. I'm always looking for something beyond medication, and that's how I stumbled into laughter yoga, or kind of reinvented, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working. I wasn't feeling better. I wasn't. I was still depressed. I was feeling sad, feeling emotional, out of control, heart palpitations, headaches, sleeplessness, anxiety. So I don't exactly know what it helped me with. Seeing here, having a baby, hormones all over the place, so scared of how I will be during perimenopause. There is a fear factor. Thank you so much for sharing that. A lot of women are afraid, and unfortunately, I know that we're running out of time. I know that I don't know if you're like me, Sarah, but if I'm afraid of something, I would rather bury my head than actually look at. I'm so scared that I don't tend to turn and face the thing. I almost just avoid it. And what happens? It gets worse. It gets worse. Yeah. And so I have such heart for people who experience fear, who have anxiety, who are depressed, because in all of these places, our body and our mind are in a place that isn't our natural place. I wrote in my book, Mind Over Matter, if you remember, toddler wisdoms. A toddler doesn't have anxiety. A toddler doesn't have depression. A toddler doesn't have nervousness. So this is acquired. This is what conditioning does. This is life. But it's not the only version of our lives. We have alternatives. And this is our presentation to you to say, try something else. Try something else that is holistic, that is unusual. It'll offer you creative ways to manage your life.
You don't need to be happy to do it. You don't need to be happy to laugh. We're almost tricking our bodies and our brains into thinking we're happy. And then very soon the laughter becomes genuine. And especially it's much easier to laugh with other people if you're really worried and things like that. So, things like watching a YouTube channel like the Serious Laughter or Tove Kane YouTube channel. That's a way of laughing with somebody face to face, but without having that awkwardness of being on your own. Have you got another laughter exercise to finish off with, Tove?
Yes, I think this one is because it's about it's just about we get very tense with the anxiety. So I like to play with it a bit more and literally bring your shoulders to your ears. So it's like we go like that, and then we just laugh them down.
I heard a click there.
So it's like, right, you've got no neck, and then we I like to almost kind of penguin it for a little bit, and then we go, and it's so lovely just to circle. Most of the time when we circle our shoulders, our first move is a backwards rotation, but it's very rare that we would offer a forward rotation. So in that exercise that I do, I invite people to lift it up, laugh it down, do the backward rotation, but then also offer forwards, forwards. And eventually we start to get it like this, and we swing our arms, and and then eventually we're doing a circle, and we do a circle, and it's like, yes, and we end with yes. So letting that tension go and feeling like, as Sarah said, and I'm so glad you brought that point up, Sarah, most of my laughter is not out of feeling good. I have tremendous pain physically, and I don't laugh because I'm feeling light and breezy and that everything is a joke. Actually, I make myself do it. I think women would benefit from knowing that.
Yes.
When you, well, maybe that's not the best way to say it. I remind myself, let me say that. I'm very aware there's a masculine energy which is quite thrust, literally, thrust and push. And the feminine energy is open and receive. So I like to open myself up to the laughter and receive its benefits.
Yeah. I think my phrase that I like to use is when it's hard to laugh, it's time to laugh hard. Well, not particularly hard, but time to laugh. And it's recognizing with, you know, after you've been practicing for a little while, it's recognizing that actually you do need to laugh to boost yourself back up again, because it works. It works very, very effectively and very, very quickly. And that's why I love to share it. I'm passionate about sharing it because it is so effective and it does work quickly.
Yeah.
So, thank you for stumbling on this. That's really lovely to hear, Jojo.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? Yeah. Things happen for a reason, Jojo, and this has happened for a reason for you. And hopefully you can go and investigate a little bit more. Watch both our channels and have a look at a bit of laughter. Even listening to laughter actually does start to release positive hormones inside your brain. So yeah, that's just a great thing to do. So yeah, well, I'm going to remind you now, what's the subject next week?
Next week we are talking about, and it's I like this one because this is something we all need, especially those of us who are ADHD, which I freely go, I know. It's called, we are next week looking at the subject of working effectively. Working effectively.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Lisa said some great tips and exercises. Lovely to share this moment. Happy, healthy healing to you all. Oh, that's sweet to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you, Sarah.
So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Tove, for joining everybody. Big heart. Breathe it in and laugh it out. Take care. Have a good week and see you same time next week.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.